So, 83 over 100, right? 0.83 is just the same as 83. 83 over 100. We can't simplify this anymore. So yeah, that's our final answer. Write down the value of 7 in the number 5,791. 700. What is the time 2 hours and 25 minutes after 9:15? 11:40. Write down a multiple of 6 that is between 40 and 50. 48. Change 270 meters into kilometers. How many meters are there in 1 kilometer? So 1,000 meters give me 1 kilometer. So how much would 270 be? So let's do the same with the bottom one. I'm dividing by 1,000 because I need to move the decimal place by 3 places, right? Because it's 3 zeros. So 1, 2, 3. Bang. The diagram shows a rectangle, 15 by 21. On the centimeter grid below, draw an accurate scale drawing of this rectangle. Use a scale factor of 1 centimeter that represents 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bang, bang. Oh, yeah. Wasim is going to have a meal. He can choose 1 starter and 1 main course from the menu. Write down all the possible combinations Wasim can choose. So he can only pick 1 starter plus 1 menu. So olives and lasagna. Oh, some pizza. What else? Are there any other combinations he could make? Yeah, good. Fran is watching a film at the cinema. The film started at 17:40. The film is 108 minutes long. When the film ends, Fran takes 15 minutes to get to the bus stop. A bus leaves the bus stop at 9:45. When does Fran get to the bus stop in time to get his bus? Does he get to in time? Does he get there in time? So, he's watching a film at cinema, and the film started at 17:40. And how long is the movie? 1 hour and 48 minutes. Very good. So when does it end? Get 19:28. It takes him 15 minutes to walk to the bus stop as well. You need to consider that. So plus 15 minutes. So does he have enough time to get to the bus stop, to get the bus? Yes, he does. A baker has 3 bags of flour, A, B, and C. Bag A and bag B contain the same amount of flour. C contains 980. In the 3 bags, there's a total of 2,600 grams of flour. A, B, C is going to equal to 2,600 grams. A is X grams. B is also X grams. C is 980. 2X plus 980 equals to 2,600. So now I want to figure out what X is. So I'll take away 980 from both sides. So we can take our calculator, 1,620. So that's what the 2 X's are equal to. But then now I want to know what 1X is. So I'm going to have to divide that by 2, 810. So that's how much 1 bag must weigh. Here are the first 5 terms of a sequence. 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. Write down the next 2 terms in the sequence. Okay, so I'm going to look at the differences. So here I have to add 3. Then I have to add 5. And then I have to add a 7. And then I have to add 9. Okay, so it just keeps on adding 2 to the addition. You see? So obviously the next one is going to be plus 6. And then I'm going to have to add 13, which gives me 49. So 36 and 49. Ashley counted the number of beads of each color in a bag. Here are the results. 4 red beads, blue equals A, and green equals 2. Ashley drew this bar chart to show the number of beads of each color. The bar chart is not fully correct. Okay. Write down 2 things that are wrong with Ashley's bar chart. For starters, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's no 5. So that's one thing. No 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This one only has 7. There's actually 8 blue beads. 7, not 8. Julian thinks of a number. 2/3 of Julian's number is 42. Work out 3/7 of Julian's number. Interesting. Julian's number, I'll call Julian's number X, okay? I don't know what it is, so I'm just calling it X. So I'm told that if I do X times by 2 over 3, so 2/3 of x, gives me 42, right? I'm going to times it across. Bang, bang. So I get 2x over 3 equals to 42. So now I'm going to times both of these by 3. So I know that 2x equals to 42 times by 3, which gives me 126. Now I will divide by 2. So 1x equals to 63. Well, that's what Julian's number is, but that's not the final answer because they want to know what 3/7 of his number is. So what I'm going to do is 63 times by 3 over 7. So I'll take my calculator. 27. Someone tells you, oh, what's 7/3 of 220? All you have to do is 220 times by 7 over 3. And you're going to find what 7/3 of 220 is, okay? The diagram shows a right-angled triangle and a trapezium. The area of the trapezium is 5 times bigger than the area of a triangle. Trapezium is triangle times by 5. The perpendicular height of the trapezium is h. Find the value of h. What's the formula for area of a trapezium? The bottom length plus the top length. So it's 18 plus 12 times by the height, and we have to divide all of that by 2. But I don't like writing it that way. I prefer just timesing it by a half, which is the same as halving the whole thing. Okay? Area of a triangle, 42. Right? So I'm told that the trapezium is what? It's 5 times the size of the triangle. So I'm going to do 42 times by 5. 210. So I know that the area of the trapezium equals to 210. And what's 18 plus 12? 18 plus 12 gives me 30. So it's 30 times by h times by a half. So I'm going to divide by 30 and divide by 30. And then I'm left with h times by a half equals to 210 divided by 30 gives me 7, of course. There are only 5 blue cards, 2 green cards, and 4 red cards in a pack. Louisa is going to take at random 1 card from the pack. Write down the probability that Louisa will take a red card. Well, the way I write probability is out of the total, right? That's how I do probability. Probability of red is going to equal to the total. So 5 plus 2 plus 4, which gives me 11. And the amount of red ones. So 4. So the probability she picks a red is 4 out of 11. Bruno is going to throw a biased dice. The probability that the dice will land on 6 is 0.34. What is the probability that the dice will not land on 6? So the probability that the dice will land on 6 is 0.34. Yeah, very good. Very good. 0.66. Excellent. Because it's just the remaining, because all the other ones are just going to be 1 minus 0.34. That's all the other possibilities, which gives us 0.66. Yeah, that's right. The table shows information about the number of goals scored by a football team in 200 matches. Work out the total number of goals scored by the team in all 200 matches. So they want the total number of goals. We know that they scored 0 goals 55 times. They scored 1 goal 52 times. So 0, 1 times 52 is 52. So I have to times them together, right? Because frequency means amount. Frequency means amount or value or how often something happens. So they scored 1 goal 52 times. So it's just 1 times by 52. Now they scored 2 goals 43 times. So in total, they scored how many goals? 86. And here they scored 3 goals 41 times. So I have to do 41 times by 3, which gives me 123. And finally, I have 4 times by 9, which gives me 36. That's it. Now I need to do what? Because they want the total number of goals scored in all 200 matches. The answer is 297. Find the median number of goals scored by the football team. So they want the median number. So I know it's going to be the middle number. So how many matches were there in total? There were 200 matches. So what was the middle match? What's the middle? 100, right? That's the middle. However, that's the median match. That's median matches. And that's not what the question is asking for. The question is asking for the median number of goals. So now I'm going to have to look at the table and I'm looking for the 100th game. Where is my 100th match? I know that the first 55 matches, they scored 0. And then if I do 55 plus 52, I get 107. So it's definitely not here, and it's definitely not after, and we're looking for the 100th match. It has to be this, because it can't go beyond it. It can't go beyond 107, because I'm looking for the 100th match. Of goals scored was 1. Pens and pencils are sold in a shop. 8 pencils cost £1.92. The ratio of the cost of a pen to the cost of a pencil is 4 to 3. Work out the cost of 5 pens. Pens. These are my pencils. So I got 4 pens, 1. Now, I'm told that 8 pencils cost £1.92. I want to know what 1 pencil costs. So if 8 pencils equal to £1.92, what's 1 pencil? Obviously, I just have to divide 1.92 by 8. This means 0.24. So 1 pencil costs 24p, right? So now that's when the ratio is useful. I know that 1 pencil is 24p. And I know that the proportion is going to be 4 to 3. All of this is 1 pencil. 1 pencil. And all of this is just 1 pen, right? Now I know that 1 pencil costs 0.24p, but there's 3 boxes in this ratio. So I need to divide 0.24 by 3. So I know that 1 box is the equivalent to 8p, okay? Now in ratios, the boxes are always the same, all of them, even on the other side. That's how ratio works. So I know that the price of 1 pen, 8 times by 4, which is 32p. Okay, I work out the cost of 5 pens. So I know 1 pen is 32p. 32 times by 5, which gives me £1.60. Okay, there are 11 grams of fiber and 100 grams of oats. There are 2.5 grams of fiber and 100 grams of banana. Rachel has 40 grams of oats and 60 grams of banana for breakfast. Work out the total amount of fiber in this breakfast. One thing at a time. I'm told that there are 11 grams of fiber and 100 grams of oats. So 11 grams of fiber and 100 grams of oats. Now I'm told that there's 2.4 grams and 100 grams of banana. Rachel has 40 grams of oats and 60 grams of banana for breakfast. So she had 40 grams of oats. So let's start off the oats. I need to convert 100 grams into 40 grams. To find out 11 grams, I'm just going to do 11 divided by 100 times by 40. Why did I do that like that way? Because I divided by 100, because if I divide by 100, I find out what 1 gram is. And then once I know what 1 gram is, I'm just going to times it by 40, which is of course 4.4. Now, what about the bananas? I'm told that there's 60 grams of bananas. I'll do the same thing. I'm just going to take 2.4. I'll divide it by 100 because I know that 2.4 equals 100. So to figure out what 1 gram is, I have to divide by 100. And then I'm going to times it by 60 straight away. Okay, which leaves me with 1.44. To add these two up together, and I get 5.84. Alrighty, I just added them together because they said work out the total amount of fiber in this breakfast. So I did 4.4 plus 1.44. Okay, and now reflect shape P in the line y equals x. Do you know what line this is? Y equals x? So I'm just going to do my y and x values. That y equals x. What's my x if y equals 1? Yeah. What's x when y equals 2? Yeah. What's x when y is 3? Yeah, just the coordinates. So 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. So I'll just plot these on the graph. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. So I'll just draw the line, connect the dots. So now I know that in the question, they're talking about this line, because this line is what y equals x is, okay? To reflect the shape in this line, that's going to be my reflected shape. A equals 5b squared plus 6. Work out the value of a when b equals minus 2. Square minus 2, yes. And what do we get when we do that? So that becomes a 4. So I have 5. What should I write? Yes. Plus 6. So what do we get? 20 plus 6, 26. Yeah. Franklin goes on holiday to Thailand. Franklin wants to charge £750 into Thai baht. He wants to get as many 500 baht notes as possible. The exchange rate is £1 equals 42.87 baht. Work out the greatest number of 500 baht notes Franklin can get for £750. He wants to change £750, right? So for starters, we should figure out how many baht he can get for 750. We know that for £1, he gets 42.87, right? Just gonna put B, baht. So how much would he get for £750? How do I calculate that? Yes, because to go from here to here, I times it by 750. So to go from here to here, I'm also going to have to times it by 750. Anything I do to one side, I'll have to do to the other. So yeah, we have to times these two together. So where's my calculator? Wer ist meinen Kalkulator? Meinen Kalkulatoren ist hier. 2.87 times by 750. Okay, so he's going to get 32,152.5. Right? So how many 500 banknotes can he make out of this? All I have to do is 32,000 divided by 5. Because 152.5 isn't enough to make a 500 banknote, so I'm just going to use the 32,000, right? So I'm going to do 32,000 divided by 500, which leaves me with 64. So we can have 64 500 banknotes, okay? Oh, that's 500, by the way. So the answer is 64, okay? Taylor wants to invest £15,000 for 3 years in a bank. Which bank will give Taylor the most interest at the end of 3 years? You must show all of your working out. So I'm going to start off with the Shield Bank. The Shield Bank offers me a compound interest of 3.6 years each year. So if I take 15,000, that's how much we're investing, right? We're investing £15,000 and we're investing it for 3 years. So I have to times this by the compound interest because that's how much it's going to grow by. So currently I have 100%, but with the compound interest, I'm going to have 103.6%, right? After 1 year. Right? Because I'm adding 3.6% to my total. That's why I'm going to times by 1.036. I just converted the percentage into a decimal. If you want to find out what a percentage is, you need to convert into a decimal or a fraction. Okay, and then you can times them together to find out what it is. So I converted it into a decimal so I can times it. And now I'm told that he's going to do it for 3 years. So I need to do it to the power of 3. Okay, so how much is this guy going to make with the Shield Bank? He's going to make 15,000 times by 1.036 to the power of 3. So he's going to make 16,679.02. Okay? Now what about the Champion Bank? For the Champion Bank, he's going to make, again, a compound interest. Okay, so this time around, we have 2 separate compound interests for different years. So we can't do it that way because year 1 is going to have a different compound interest and the second and third year is going to have a different one. So I have 6.2 for the first year. So I'm going to write year 1. Year 1. So for year 1, I have £15,000 and I'm timesing it again. So this is my 100% and then I want to add 6.2% to it. So plus 6.2%. So at the end of 1 year, I'm going to have 106.2%, right? So now I want to convert this into a decimal. So I get 1.062 as a decimal. So I'm going to times this by 1.062. And that's it. I put no power. Sorry. And I get 15,930. So that's year 1. Now for year 2, he's going to get 2.3%, but we told in the question that he wants to do it for 3 years, but it says 2.3% for each extra year. So this is the compound interest for year 2 and 3, right? So year 2 and 3. So I need to times this by 1.023, and I need to square it. Why did I square it? Because I'm doing it for 2 years. I'm doing it for year 2 and year 3, okay? So I have 15,930 times by 1.023 to the power of 2. 16,671.2. Or 20, because it's currency. So which investment is better? Yeah, slightly better. The table shows probabilities that a biased dice will land on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5. The probability that the dice lands on 6 is 3 times the probability that the dice land on 1. Fred rolls the biased dice 200 times. Work out an estimated total for the number of times that dice will land on 6. So what's the probability that the dice will land on 1? We don't know where it is. We have no idea. So I'm just going to call it X. I don't know. But what about the 1 on 6? Because they told me that the probability that dice lands on 6 is 3 times the probability of the that the dice will land on 1. So it's 3 times the probability that it lands on 1. Yeah, so 6 will be 3x. And now let's do some algebra. Because all of probabilities, what do they need to add up to? Well, 100%, yeah. But these probabilities are decimals, so yeah. So they all need to add up to 1. So how many x's do I have? Because I have 1 x here and 3 x's here. So how many x's in total do I have? 4 x's. Should add up to 1. Okay, so let's add all of these numbers up together. Plus 0.48. Okay, so all of this has to equal to 1. Yeah, let's get rid of that first. Absolutely. So I'm left with 4x equals to 0.52. So x equals to, yeah, 0.13. So if x is 0.13, what's the probability that it lands on 6? If we said 3x. We know that this is 0.13. But what about this one? Because it's 3, right? 0.39. How does that help me? Because Fred rolls the bias times 200 times, and we need to work out the estimate for the total number of times that the dice will land on 6. So I know that the probability is 0.39, quite high. And I also know that he's going to roll it 200 times. So how many times will it probably land on 6? 0.39 times by 200 will probably land on 6 78 times. Complete the table of values for 2x plus 6 minus x squared. So I have to substitute x with minus 2. So let's do 2 times by minus 2. Okay, then we have to plus 6. Minus 4 plus 6 minus 4. So it has to be minus 2. Okay, what about 0? What's 2 times by 0? 0. What's 0 to the power of 2? Nothing. And so it has to be 6. What about 1? 2 times by 1 plus 6 minus... What's 1 times by 1? 1. So let's do 2 plus 6 minus 1. Yep. It's going to be... What's 2 times by 3? Yep. Plus 6. And then 3 times by 3 gives me... Yeah, so we're minusing 9. Yeah. And finally 4. So I'm going to do 6 minus 16 leaves me with minus 10. Minus 10 plus 8. Minus 2. Okay. So now we need to plot it. Something like that. Oh, yeah, good enough. Obviously, you want to be accurate when you do it. Take your time. Use your graph to find estimates for the solutions 2x plus 6 minus x squared is equals 0. So what they mean by find estimates of the solutions is that you're stuck here on the x-axis and they're asking for basically where the cross sections with the graph. So here and here. So they want to know the actual values. Okay, so they want to know what this is and what this is, more or less. So the first one is going to be something like minus 1.5 and the other one is going to be something like 3.6-ish. Just to keep it simple, basically when they ask you for something like that, just look for wherever your graph crosses the x-axis, okay? And just put these values down as your answer. Use your calculator to work out this. Oh, damn. Okay, so make sure that the first, like you have to press the buttons in order. So the first thing that we have is a square root. So first thing I have to click is the square root. And then I'm going to click the fraction button. And then I'm just going to fill the rest out, right? Put all of them down. Here we go. Write your answer to part A corrected to 2 decimal places. Do you know what that is? Very good. 0.0864. Yeah, that's the answer. The only problem is that it's not in standard form. Okay, so how do I put this in standard form? Look, it's very easy actually. I want the decimal place to be behind the first number. So I want my answer to be 8.64, okay? Because remember, I want to move the decimal place here behind the first number. This is obviously my first number, so I want the decimal place here. I need to move the decimal place by 2 places. Times this by 10 to the power of -2. Because if I times this by 10 to the power -2, what happens is that I move the decimal place 2 places that way, and then I get this number. The density of an orange cordial is 1.21 grams per centimeter cubed. The density of carbonated water is 1.01 grams per centimeter cubed. A drink volume with a volume of 280 is made by mixing 1 part of orange cordial with 7 parts of carbonated water. Work out the density of the drink. So this question is all about density. How do I calculate density? Density equals mass over volume. I'm told that the drink is 280 millimeters. And this 280 milliliter drink is made out of 1 part orange, 7 parts of water. So I need to split this 280 between these two just to see how much volume there is in each of them. 280 divided by 8. Why 8? Because there's 8 parts in total. Just to illustrate with boxes, this is 1 part, this is 7, okay? You see, so there's 8 boxes in total. So I know that 1 part is 55 milliliters, and the orange is 1 part, so that's perfect. So the orange is 35 milliliters, or centimeters. So yeah, I should have put centimeters here, my bad. Okay, what about the water? So the water is going to be 35 times by 7, 245 centimeters. Do you see that? They told me at the beginning, they said 1.21 grams per centimeter cubed. But the thing is, I have 35 centimeter cubes. So I'm gonna have to do 1.21 times by 35. 42.35. Now that's the mass, so that's grams. What about this one? So I got 245 volume of this per centimeter cubed, but the density is 1.01. So I have to times 245 times by 1.01, and that gives me 247.45 grams. So now I know the mass. So I'm going to work out the total mass of the whole drink, 289.8. So that's how much the drink weighs. But they want to know what the density is. So now I'm going to use the density formula, and I know that density equals mass over volume. So I know that this is the mass of the drink, and I know that this is the volume of the drink. So I'm going to do 289.8 divided by 280. And that equals to 1.03. So I got ABC. The triangle D lies on the line AC. So I got AC here. AB is 9. BD is 13. And CD is 4. Work out the perimeter of the triangle ABC. So I want to know the whole perimeter. So give your answer to 3 significant figures. So I can see that's going to be Pythagoras straight away because there's a triangle here, right? So I can figure out what this is using Pythagoras. So I'm just going to do 13 squared equals to 9 squared plus something squared, right? So I'll just rearrange that slightly. So I know that x is going to equal to the square root of 13 squared minus 9 squared. If you rearrange that, you're just going to get this. 2 root 22. And I'll leave it like that. Because it's going to be a crazy decimal. You see, because it's a right angle. So it's just Pythagoras. 9 squared plus 2 root 22 squared plus 4 squared. No, that's wrong. Because I need to add these two lengths together. And then I square it. I get 260.0466 and so on. Square root this, right? Because Pythagoras is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I need to square my answer to get the length by itself. So I'm going to square root this plus 4. I added all of the lengths together, apart from the middle one, of course, because that's not part of the perimeter. And the answer is 35.32 once I added all of the sides up. That one is easy. A number m is rounded to one decimal place. The result is 9.4. Complete the error interval for m. So it's just going to be 9.35 or 9.45. So it could have gotten rounded to this because it was 3.5 and it got rounded to this. Or it could have been 4.5 and it got rounded to that. You see that? So that's a lower interval, that's the upper interval. So this is the angle I have. So this is the opposite side because it's opposite to my angle. This is the hypotenuse because it's the longest and it's the opposite to the right angle. So I know that we're going to be using soch. There's a full list of it. So there's soch, kach, toa. And depending on what I have on my triangle, that's the one I have to use. In this case, I have O and H. So I have O and H, so I'm using SOA. So I know that the formula for SOA is sin equals to O divided by H. Okay? So now I'll just plug in some numbers. So obviously the angle has to go with sin. So it's going to be sin 38. And that equals to the opposite. And that's actually what I'm looking for this question. So I'll just put x, that's what I'm looking for. And I know that h is 16. So to find out what x is, I just have to rearrange it slightly. I just need to times both sides by 16 to get x by itself. So I'm just going to do times by 16 and times by 16, okay? So x equals to sin 38 times by 16. So if I grab my calculator, I get 9.85. And that's fine for my answer. Okay, let's solve this quickly. So I'm just going to expand it out. So I got 6x squared plus 3 equals to 20 minus 4x. Okay, so I will move the... where did I get this squared from? Sorry. So I will do minus 3 and minus 3. And then I'll do plus 4 and plus 4 at the same time. Right, x's. So I get 10x here, I get 0 here, and then this I get 17. So 10x equals 17, so 1x equals 17 over 10, so it's just 1.7. Each interior angle of regular polygon is 150. Work out the middle, work out the number of the sides in the polygon. Each interior angle of okay. Each interior angle of a regular polygon is 150. Work out the number of sides of the polygon. Okay, so I know that the sum of the interior angle and the exterior angle of a shape is always 180, okay? So interior plus exterior angle equals 180, always, right? So I know that the interior angle is 150, so I know that the exterior angle has to be 30, right, to get 180. And now, because I know that the exterior angle is 30, there's another thing that you need to know, and you need to know that exterior angles always add up to 360. So I'm going to do 360 divided by 30 just to see how many of them there must be. So if I do 360 divided by 30, the answer is 12. So there must be 12 sides here. Crazy, right?